I'd like to ask your thoughts on a texting situation I'm in. We're in a situation where I always have to initiate the texting. When I text her, she definitely texts me back, all happy, wee. But if I don't text her, I'll never hear from her again, ever. And
Hmm.
it's a little weird. And anyway, I'm curious, should I just keep being the initiator? I mean, she always texts me back, or should I, like my ex-girlfriend last night was like, no, you just need to like ignore her for a week and then let her come to you.
So play a silly game.
Yeah, basically play a silly game.
Yeah. No. Number one, I always try whenever I can, whenever I've got my wits about me, I try to give the other person the benefit of the doubt and come up with some sort of explanation that allows them to save face. Try to be very Japanese about this stuff, right? So I would say, hey, and this is probably a better conversation for in person. So I would say, hey, I noticed something. I think it's a bit of a pattern. I noticed that I always have to initiate texts with you. Do you think that you can't text me? Like, is there like, do you think that you'd be bothering me by texting me? Right? So you give her the benefit of the doubt. You assume that, she's got her wires crossed or something like that. And then if she's just like, oh no, it just doesn't occur to me to text you. I mean, whatever her answer is after that, you can do your assessment from there. You want to feel like you're getting equal energy from the situation, right? And so like I would say to her like, oh hey, well let me clear this up right now. You can text me whenever you want. You can reach out to me to make plans whenever you want. If I can't make plans, I'll just tell you. No big deal. But you said you convinced her that you're busy. You can say, look, I'm a busy guy, and I'm not going to continue putting effort into a situation that I feel is unbalanced. So show me with your actions that you do want this to continue. Text me every once in a while. And I mean, after you're that fucking clear with her, if she doesn't do it, then I think you have your concrete evidence.
Yep, but then I know if I do text her and say, hey, you want to hang out tonight, 99% chance she will. So it's hard to let that go. You know what I mean?
Well, how bothered by it are you? I guess the question would be like, like.
It's just a little weird thing, and I was just curious to get your take on it.
Yeah, I always want to know where I stand. And if you refuse to tell me where I stand, then that means I don't stand. I'm not going to stand for it, right? So, because I'm not going to play any silly, stupid game like, oh, don't text her for a week, whatever. So, if somebody's like, oh, this is how you have to behave in order to encourage, that's called manipulation. And when you manipulate, you open yourself up to being manipulated. When you play games, you get played. And who's got the fucking energy for that? I don't. Maybe guys in their 20s, that's the answer. Guys in their 20s have the energy for that. And only because nobody fucking shook the shit out of them and said, don't do that.
She likes you, though. I mean, she might just be nervous that it's like, she might just be nervous. You could just bring it up and say, hey, if you like her, I mean, do you like her is the question, or is it just sex?
I do.
So then just bring it up, because every single time Mike has told me to bring something up, it always happens, like, it just changes behavior. It's like, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what's going on in your day. I'll respond right away. Maybe she's nervous that you won't ever respond, and it's rejection for her. You know what I mean? So.
How old is she, Rob?
28.
28, yeah. So she should be. So there's different levels, and those are great points, Matt. And so that's basically what I was saying is, look to see if it is actually a fear response, a nervousness, and awkwardness, and then you have to ask yourself, okay, do I consider it compatible for her to be this old and still be this awkward, right? Also, when people aren't like fully invested, when it's just a casual relationship, people treat people differently, So I think that's why I say you got to hold people's feet to the fire. You got to make them you got to make them a little bit uncomfortable to get that answer, because their level of discomfort is a compatibility factor. The more uncomfortable they are with being direct, the less compatible they are with anybody who wants direct dating coaching. Being direct saves you time, it saves you drama, it saves you heartache, it saves you confusion, but it takes two. The other person has to be there too. So my advice is basically, don't assume that another person trusts you enough to take your word the first time that they can just be as direct as you are with them. They might be like, yeah, I've heard that before, and some guy tricked me into saying what was really on my mind, and then he got mad at me or something like that. Like, people have had these bad experiences. But after like twice, you know, maximum 3 times where you're like, look, this is how I want you to communicate with me, and she's not, well, there's an incompatibility, and then you got to ask yourself, am I pissed off enough to forego the sex? But that's the thing about an abundance mentality. Like when you have an abundance mentality, you're like, something's off, never mind. It doesn't matter how hot she is, because you know you're going to get another girl who's just as hot or hotter, and you're going to have an even better time because you were 100% about her and she was 100% about you. The sex that I have turned down in the last couple years, you guys would want to stab me with a blunt object.